Hey everyone, and welcome! If you've ever heard words like Terraform or infrastructure as code and thought, whoa, that sounds way too complicated for me, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to demystify Terraform code, and I promise, by the end of this, you'll see it's way more approachable than you think. Okay, let's get into it.
I want to start with the single most important idea, right here. Let this sink in for a second. You do not need to be a programmer to use Terraform. Seriously. If you've been holding back because you're worried about coding, this is your official permission slip to just let that fear go. We're about to find out why.
So to really get a handle on Terraform, we first have to kind of shift our thinking about what code even means in this context. We're not talking about writing complicated step-by-step instructions. Nope, we're talking about a language that's all about description. And this slide just nails the difference. See, a programming language, something like Python or Java, is all about giving the computer a recipe. You tell it every single step, the whole how-to. But a configuration language, which is what Terraform uses, is totally different. It's all about describing the end result. You just tell the computer what you want, and it's smart enough to figure out how to make it happen.
Now, this special language of description has a name. It's called HCL, which stands for HashiCorp Configuration Language. Its one and only job is to describe your stuff, your servers, your databases, in a really clear, human-readable way. But honestly, the best way to think about it isn't really as code at all.
And here it is. This is the best analogy I've ever heard for HCL. Seriously, forget the word coding. Just imagine you're filling out a form. A really specific, really well-organized form. You know, it's got sections, it's got labels that tell you what to put where, and it has blank fields for you to write in your answers. That's it. And the best part is, these forms are incredibly simple. They're just plain text files. You don't need any fancy software. A basic text editor on any computer will do just fine. They were built from the ground up to be easy for people, for humans, to read and understand at a glance. Okay, so if we're working with a form, the first thing we need to do is understand its different sections, right? So let's break down the basic building blocks that you're going to see in pretty much every single Terraform file. All right, here we go. Our first peek at some actual HCL. Now, don't worry about what any of the words mean yet. Seriously, just ignore them. I just want you to look at the shape of it. Notice the structure, how things are indented. It looks pretty clean and organized, doesn't it? It's not just some chaotic mess of commands. So our very first building block is called, well, the block. Just think of this as a container, a big section on our form that groups related settings together. You know, like a shipping address section or a payment details section. It just keeps everything neat and tidy. Okay, so we've got the main sections of our form down. Now, how do we actually fill in the information inside them? Let's zoom in and look at the details. Inside each of those blocks, you have what are called arguments. An argument is just the name of a setting you need to provide. In our form analogy, this is the label next to a blank space. It's the first name or the zip code. It tells you exactly what kind of information you need to provide. And if the argument is the question, then the value is your answer. It's the actual information you write in that blank field. If the argument is size, the value might be small. It's the specific choice you're making for that particular setting. Simple as that. And here's a little summary that puts it all together perfectly. The block is the big section of the form. The argument is the label for a field inside that section, and the value is the info you write in. That's it. That is the entire core structure of Terraform code. Block, argument, value. You got this. So now that you understand the what, let's talk about the how. What's the best way to actually get started without feeling totally lost? Well, here is a super simple, really effective roadmap to follow. First things first, just focus on reading existing Terraform code. Don't even try to write it yet. Just get comfortable looking at it and spotting the blocks, arguments, and values. Second, as you're reading, keep focusing on that super simple structure we just talked about. And third, and this one is huge, do not try to memorize everything. Nobody does. The official documentation is amazing, and I promise you, pros use it constantly. Let's bring this all back home to the most important takeaway of all. This is the entire philosophy right here in one sentence. Your job is to be the architect. Your job is to describe the final thing you want to build. You describe what you want, and you let Terraform be the master builder that figures out how to do it. So think about it. What seemed like a bunch of confusing code just a few minutes ago is now something you can actually read. It's not code, it's a blueprint. You've just learned the language of the architects. So the only real question left is, now that you can read the blueprint, what are you going to build first?